TinyHouseDreaming here. It is Sunday. We are in Fontana, California. I'm not sure if we're ready to go or not. We're sitting in at Jack in the Box and Del Taco parking lot. We came over here to get some breakfast. We've been out here since last night. We dropped our trailer at that yard in Fontana that I showed you in one of my videos, a video where I'm like desperately trying to crank the landing gear up the wrong way. But while I'm standing here and we're not attached, I was going to show you guys the bobtail part of the trailer. This is the skid plate that the trailer usually sits on top of. You always want to make sure you keep it nice and greased so it slides in and out from underneath the trailer. And the kingpin, the little knob that sits at the bottom of a trailer that hooks to the fifth wheel, it actually slides into here. So this is kind of giving it to you from a different angle, and this helps you see better too how it looks. When I was doing the pre-trip on this is all the driver's side, no, the coupling area. This is all like the coupling area pre-trip that I have, but this is kind of giving you a different view of it so you can see what everything looks like when you're not attached to a trailer. And every year your truck your tractor has to go through a DOT inspection where they inspect it and sign off for that year to make sure that everything is compliant. So if you ever get stopped by a DOT officer or pulled into a weigh station or anything and have a DOT inspection, that everything's kosher and you're good to go. So while we're sitting here, my trainer's kind of looking at his truck. He has like the hood open and he's just checking stuff while we don't have a trailer on us, to see like the things that he's noticing on the truck that might, like he was pointing out that these brakes on this side might need to be replaced because the lining, how in the pre-trip video, when you're doing your pre-trip, you are checking to make sure your lining, the friction material isn't worn dangerously thin, which if I remember correctly, dangerously thin is 1/4 of an inch. So that's what he's kind of looking at. You know what, you guys, I'm sorry. There's this homeless dog, you see him? Actually, I'm not really quite sure that he's homeless because I think the guy in this car right here is a car dweller. My lips are so chapped. And I believe that's his dog. I'm not sure if that's his dog or if the dog's just kind of hanging around him because he's here. But I went into Jack in the Box a little bit ago and I bought 3 egg rolls and I took them out of the fried shell, the cabbage and stuff that's inside the egg roll. And I put it out in a little box for the dog. But I feel so bad because it's a cute little doggy. He keeps going back to the car and then kind of walking around the parking lot and stuff, and I'm sad for the dog. I mean, I hope that it is the car dweller's dog, although I don't know how well the dog's eating. But I didn't really want to walk up to the person and give them the egg rolls, so I set the egg rolls over there kind of close to the car because I'd see the dog keeps walking around the parking lot. So I'm not sure if he walked over there yet or not. I haven't noticed him, but I have been paying attention to the truck more. But I'm sure he'll find them. They're close enough where as he walks around, he'll find a little treat for him. But if there was any kind of stores, Fontana is a trucking kind of community. Behind me, there's all kind of lots with trailers and different companies and stuff around here. And then Swift has their school out here in Fontana, California. But there's no real stores or convenient markets around me. I kind of looked on my Google map to see if I seen any close, because I would go buy cans of food and give them to the guy for the dog for maybe a few days worth. But there was nothing close to me other than these fast food places, and the best thing I could think of was the egg rolls, because I know it has the chicken, but it also has cabbage and stuff, which is good for dogs. I didn't want to get it no greasy hamburger patty or anything like that, because I have Mr. B. I know how I would feed Mr. B if all I had were these options, so I did that for the dog. But anyways, yeah, so you want to kind of every now and then when you're just sitting for a minute, you want to look at your truck, kind of notice, because there could be cracks or something happen at a truck stop where if you're not doing a full complete pre-trip on your truck and not a trailer but your tractor, you might miss things. So every now and then when you get the opportunity, you're not hooked up and you just are sitting and have time, do a nice thorough walk around. See if your skid plate is properly greased. Maybe like we were just talking and he wants to get like a nice wash for all these parts where you can actually go to a truck wash and get a thorough, like where they spray it down. And because like as you go through places you'll get like all kind of sand stuck to your parts and stuff, and you know, the cleaner the truck is, the better it's gonna run. Like some of his these two shock absorbers aren't too bad, but the two on this side, my lips are so dry. The two, see, especially this one, could definitely use to be clean. You know, just little things. Like, it's not a huge deal, but the longer that you let dirt and grime and stuff like that sit on your truck, the harder it's going to be when you clean it. If you kind of keep up with it, then it's easier. And especially if you're leasing a truck, because at some point you're going to be taking your truck back and turning it back in at the end of the lease. And the better condition you keep it, the more money that they won't take money out because things aren't messed up. You know, and like all of that, like when you lease a truck, you get money back at the end of your lease. Depending on how many miles you put on it. It's like so much cents for every mile that you put on the truck. So when you turn it back in, you get money back because you're accumulating that as you're doing your, you know, doing loads and delivering and things like that. But if there's things wrong with your truck, then they will deduct from that money that they give you back to go to the cost of the repairs and stuff. Now, I can't speak exact specifics, how much you make per mile and all of that at the end of the lease, because I'm not that versed in it. I did sit and talk to one of the lease guys, and then one of the guys in the department, the, what's it called? Pedigree truck sales, where you can actually buy a truck. You put $14,000 down, and in 2 years you pay the truck off by paying weekly payments like you would a lease. The payments are a little bit lower than the lease payments, but in 2 years your truck's paid off and it's yours. There are downsides to that too, because with Prime, when you lease a truck, included in your lease payment are like the insurance and small little things like that. When you buy a truck, that's all on you. But I don't know like the ins and outs enough to really like start citing stuff and giving you guys advice or anything like that. But that's just the kind of gist of it. But you want to make sure that you're doing your walk around and seeing what's going on with your truck, knowing what's going on with your truck. If you're able to fix little things, fix them right away. Don't let them sit and get like rusted or get worse. I'm saying rusted, like if depending on what's the problem. Try to address it as soon as possible. There was something else that I meant to tell you guys, but now I'm forgetting. Like thinking about the dog, I've completely lost track of what I was talking about. But anyways, thanks again for keeping me company. Guys, so another thing I thought about that I could do while I am sitting here. I'm sitting on the catwalk, which is kind of dirty. I'll have to dust my butt off when I'm done, but it's in the shade and the truck is kind of warm, so I don't really, and you're stuck in the truck all the time. Like when you can get out, believe me, you want to get out. So I got my first email from a subscriber asking me for advice. I can't actually like read the email and be recording myself at the same time, so I read it a couple times. I'm gonna not repeat it verbatim, obviously, but I'll give you the gist of what she was asking, and then I will do my best to answer it. So it's a female subscriber. She is a fellow trucker. She said she's not a fellow highway diamond, which meaning she's not a prime female trucker, but, and I'm not sure what company, she didn't mention. She said she's been trucking for the last 4 years. She's a company driver and she watches my channel. She says she loves my content. It seems like I'm very level-headed and that I could give good advice, like good sisterly advice. I'm not a sister or a mom or anything, so I don't know how good my advice will be, but I'm gonna give it a go and see. Hopefully it works out. If not, I'm sure I have a lot of intelligent women on this channel that most of them are probably sisters, moms, or have good advice. So if I'm giving the wrong advice or anybody disagrees, feel free to leave it in the comment and give her some better advice or other options that maybe I'm not thinking about. But anyway, so she is a fellow trucker and she's been, I think I said that she's been trucking for 4 years. She's a company driver, not sure what company she's with. A few months ago, she didn't really say a number, so I'm guessing a few is probably between 3 and 5 maybe. She was at a truck stop and met a gentleman trucker who is an owner operator. I believe she said he's either a lease operator or owner operator. But he makes his income off of the loads that he delivers versus a company driver where you're paid per mile. So she said that she met this guy. She's been talking to him over the phone a lot. They've met at truck stops a few times, but for the most part, their relationship has been over the phone. She really likes this guy, and she said almost immediately after they met, he began asking her, why don't you leave your company and come team drive with me? Like in a romantic way, but also that's how she would be making her income as well. So her advice to me, or no, actually, and I'm sorry, I'm leaving the biggest part of the question out. She said that he seems really nice. Our personalities really get along, but there's a few questions that when she asks him, he's really vague about the response, or he like goes to the next subject and kind of like acts like he didn't hear the question. Now she did not, I emailed her back and asked her what were the questions that, because like that kind of is a red flag for me. So I asked her what the questions were that he was vague about or like wasn't responding to, and she never emailed me back. So I don't know that part of the equation, but there's things that she's asking him that he's not telling her. So her advice to me was, do you think that I should, because she's making it seem like there are other than those questions that he's being vague about or not answering, that everything else seems hunky-dory, and she's asking me, should she quit her company, turn her truck in, and team with this guy in his truck? So here is my response to that. No, I don't think that you should stop working at your company and go team with this guy. First of all, the fact that, I mean, for me, I would really need to know a person a lot better than a couple months talking to you over the phone to feel comfortable with you, to be first depending upon the way your work ethic and everything is to be making my income, because that's essentially what you'll be doing. You'll be in his truck, you'll be a team driver. Obviously you guys will work out something where he pays you so much. I don't know if he'll pay you per mile or if he'll give you a percentage of what he makes off of every load. That's kind of neither here nor there, but at some point you guys would have a common, come to a common agreement about how this would work financially. But you just met this guy. And I mean, just because you're talking to him on the phone and your personalities mesh, people can come off one way for a few months. And then they can also tell you, oh, well, this is happening and that's happening. I mean, unless he's willing to sit down and show you like settlements or what he's making per load, how he's able to afford to have you as a team driver and be able to pay you whatever you guys agree upon. But that's a big step to like leave your company and get on a truck with the man that you just met at a truck stop. Not to say that he's not doing great and he's not making the amount of money that maybe he's telling you he's making, because I don't know this person, I don't know you. But that would be my advice. Secondly, you have to keep in mind that if you're talking to him like you guys met, like he thought you were cute, you thought he was cute, whatever, and you guys exchanged numbers, you guys have been talking in sort of a romantic fashion as well. So not only when you get on the truck do you have to like worry about the financial aspect of being a team driver with this person, but you guys have also started building something like romantic, and so you would be fulfilling that aspect as well. So a couple months of talking to a person on the phone is not really knowing them enough, where first of all you're dependent on them as far as your financial gain and how you're getting your income, but you're also putting yourself in a situation where this person, like you're in a small confines with the person, you're just now getting to know him, you're learning each other, and he has certain expectations on a romantic level. That is kind of, to me, it's kind of iffy. And I don't know what these questions you're asking him that he's being vague about, or he's just kind of brushing over and not really giving you an answer. But in this situation, I'm gonna assume that you're probably younger than me, so when you say sisterly advice, maybe like a big sister advice, I'm not sure. But as a grown-up, when you meet somebody
and you're old enough to where like you guys are talking, you're establishing a relation, you know, like you're not in a relationship, but you guys are talking on a level where I'm not. And I guess like as a trucker, it's kind of different because you are on your truck all the time. So it's hard to get to know people. It's not like you're home every day where you can go out on a date on Saturday night or whatever. So like your way of, I guess, getting to know a person would be over the phone. More so, this advice goes for that situation, but I'm speaking in general to men and women. When you meet somebody and you're over a certain age and like it's not like where we're getting to know each other dating, but if we're talking, which I'm assuming you guys are talking serious enough to where he's asking you to leave your company and get on his truck, be a team driver, and as well as continue to get to know him romantically, right? So in that case, I would want to see a credit report, I would need to see a background check, and I would need to see an STD report. And those all need to be current. And I don't say that trying to be funny. I know like some people have these hang-ups where they feel like that's an invasion of privacy, or I just now met him or her, because I'm talking to guys as well as women. Anybody that's like where you're older than, I would say 25 years old, where like when you're talking to somebody and it's the conversations are going to a serious place, where in her case it is, because he's asking her to leave her job and get on a truck, depend on him to pay her a certain salary, and as well as they began talking romantically. So I'm assuming that he wants, and she probably is thinking that they will be in each other's lives in a romantic way as well, not just team driving. So yeah, those three things: credit report, background check, STD report, because you are putting yourself in a situation where you don't know this person. This person has words that they're telling you, and it might all sound great. And I know it gets to a place where you really like a person and you want to believe like everything they're saying, they make it sound, because a lot of people are smooth talkers. They can tell you anything to sound good. They might have told this to 80 other women or men and rehearsed it enough where it comes out so smoothly, and they just are good talkers. Numbers never lie. Doctors' reports never lie. Don't get yourself into a man's truck, or men, if a woman is asking you this, to get yourself into a situation with another person where you don't really know their background. Are they like an ex-killer? Are they an ex-rapist? Are they white-collar crime? Are they scheming against people? Like, you don't know this person. So find out their background. Where's their background history? If you're going to be romantically involved, and if you're adults, I'm assuming that you probably are, find out, make sure that they don't have any type of STDs that you're going to contract, where you're just you're opening yourself up to that. And credit report, I only say, and I don't say this like a person has to have like an 800 or anything like that, but if you're going to be dependent on this person, and even if you weren't, I still would think that people dating nowadays, if you're getting into a serious place with somebody, again, man or woman, this is not just advice for women. If you're getting into a serious place, a person doesn't have to have perfect credit, but it would be smart of you to know how they are financially. Like, are they just frivolous with money? Are they not so good but getting better? Like maybe 7 years ago you weren't good with money, but as you're getting older, you know, I can see that your credit history and you're working towards something. I mean, those things are good to know. But for you, the person I'm answering, you're putting yourself again in this person's truck, depending upon them to pay you whatever you guys agree upon if you go through with this. So a credit report would give you a big indication. And I'm not saying that there's any certain credit score that's right or wrong or any of that, but it gives you an indication of a person, how they, I'm trying to think of the word, but like how they are with money, how they handle their money, how do they pay their debts? Don't they pay their debts? If they don't, like what type of debt do they get themselves into? Is it high dollar? Is it low dollar? Do they have just different accounts open with all these different people? Like, you know, it gives you a clue as to how a person manages their money. So that's why I say, check the credit report. And a guy, now see, if you're going into a business relationship, the credit report's definitely a thing that you need to consider. Who would be? But not everybody would, I mean, you wouldn't be asking for an STD report or anything if you're going into a business situation. But if you're going into a romantic situation, even if it's not on a truck, even if it's just dating a guy and you live in a house and he lives in a house or whatever, and you guys are just in the regular world, not in the trucking world, it's still a good idea to ask a person for an STD report and do a background check. People are crazy nowadays. People were crazy back in the day, but more so there's so much going on that depending on what you read or you see on these reports, you still might make the choice to date this person or, you know, go from dating to a serious, more monogamous type situation with this person. But the more you know up front, the better. And if a person really likes you, they're not going to withhold that type of information. And when you're asking this of a person, you should also be open and willing to give the same information about yourself to that person. So it's like a two-way street. I'm not just saying like you show me all your paperwork and I'm not willing to show you anything. You should be willing to let them know as well that no, I don't have any STDs. Here's my credit report. If it's not the perfect report, explain to them. Like, you know, when I was younger, I did things and didn't really care. As I get older, you know, I'm starting to be more conscious of the way I spend my money. You know, it's to have an open dialogue. That's what more so it's about versus the credit score. It's about having that, oh, there's a bee around me, about having that open dialogue with the person and talking about it, seeing if you guys are on the same wavelength as far as how you manage your money, how you spend your money, how you plan on saving your money, different things like that. Even if you're not going to mend your money, it's still good to know where a person's mind is in that aspect, because as you guys grow as a couple, money is a huge thing that will break up marriages. It will break up relationships. It breaks up families. I mean, I'm talking about brother, sister, mom and son, whatever. It breaks up, you know, like that's a huge issue. So the earlier and more upfront you are about how you deal with money and how you use, you know, how money fits in, equates to your lifestyle, you're just saving yourself headache down the line, because now you already know how this person operates, how they think. And it's early on, it's your choice. Do I want to, gosh, my lips are so dry. Do I want to get in a relationship with somebody who thinks this way? Or maybe you and they also are thinking that, or, you know, you guys are discussing that about each other. Or, you know, if you're not good with money and they're good with money and, you know, right now you're new, then fine. They know that up front. But like, if you, as you guys start building and becoming more of a couple and a togetherness builds, then maybe they, you know, you guys can make smart decisions on who manages the money. And you can let them know that I really want to save, but I just don't know how. I'm not good at it. And they are good at it, and they can help you. They can offer you guidance, or if it's vice versa, you can offer them guidance. It doesn't necessarily mean whatever you find out on these reports, other than the STD. Now, if somebody got STDs, I caution you, I would not get into any of that. But like the credit report thing, even the background check, well, it depends on your tolerance level, like what you're willing to overlook, be understanding of, blah, blah, blah. But the credit report thing, that's a touchy subject that a lot of people are either one, scared to ask a person, or two, scared to give up your information to a person, or three, they just feel like, I just, you know, it's too much and I don't really want to ask. And then you get yourself into like 3 years down the line, you wonder why this person is spending like this and has these habits, and he owes T-Mobile and Sprint and Johnny Rocket and Huda Wuda and all these other people. And it's all conversations where you're learning each other. Ask up front, talk about things up front, and that just helps you, that builds solidness from the beginning. Why wait 3 years till now your heart's in it, you're in love with this person, you feel guilty if you leave this person, when if you would have talked about it as you were in the dating stages, and the talks can maybe start as small talks where you say, you know, if we get to where we're together for 6 months, these are things that I'm gonna kind of want to know. You know, is while but let them know up front, so when you hit them with that question or her with that question, it's not like coming from left field, like they already know. And that is a wise person, I think, that asks those things. And maybe the person you're dating wouldn't even think like that, but even if you guys don't make it, the next person they go on to, they'll be like, you know what, that was smart that this person asked me that. So that builds, because you're gonna be stuck with a person especially if you fall in love with them. So it's better to know what you're getting stuck with up front. So you can't say that you didn't know. They can't say you didn't know. And you guys know what type of things you need to work on. But going back, I'm sorry I got all off into it. But no, I wouldn't. I'm hoping that those 3 questions are some of the questions you're asking him that he's being vague about or not answering and acting like he didn't hear you ask that. But I mean, I'm trying to think of like what other type. It would have to be something financial, I'm guessing, or like, is your baby mama crazy? If he's not answering that or he's being vague about that, but whatever, if you're getting to know this man and he's asking you to leave your company again and get on his truck with him, financially dependent on how he manages his money and in a romantic way, but he's being vague about answers already in a few months, which I'm not sure what a few months is. But no, I would not get on his truck. I mean, like, it would be red flags for me that why are you being so vague? Like, so that, in my opinion, like, I'm kind of a cut and dry girl. I wouldn't even keep talking to you, let alone consider getting on your truck. Like, that's a whole nother situation in the future that's probably not going to happen, because I can't even have a conversation with you where you answer my questions after a few months. I mean, we ain't talking about a week. We're talking about we've been talking all the time for a few months. But yeah, so no, those would be red flags that wouldn't have time for that. Like, it just wouldn't be an option at this point, because whatever questions, even if the smallest to the biggest, they should be, you might not have to tell me exactly depending on how invasive the question is, but we need to have a conversation. At what point are you going to be comfortable answering these type of questions? But if he's already being like that and you're not on his truck with him and around him all the time, how hopeful are you that you're going to get any of those answers in the correct manner? Meaning you ask him and he tells you, versus finding out the wrong way where one day a crazy baby mama does pop up and she trying to break the windows on the truck or something. Like, whatever. I'm not really, and it's hard to answer your questions when you're not telling me what questions he's not answering. But I would assume, because if they're small questions, he's answering them probably. It's probably the bigger and the harder questions that he's being vague about. And it's a reason why he's being vague about it. And it's a reason why he's not telling you. So take those red flags and run with them. Like, when a person shows you who they are or what they're not willing to talk about, don't make excuses. We do that a lot as people when we like somebody and they're vague about things. You try to make excuses of, okay, well, maybe it's this or maybe it's too soon. But no, it's not too soon for him to ask you to quit your job and get on the truck with him and be his girlfriend and be his employee. So why is it too soon for whatever questions you're asking of him for him to give you an answer, a proper answer about those? So just be smart. I mean, I feel like the fact that you reached out to me and asked me for my advice, you know that you should not be getting on this person's truck. And you know that something's fishy about it. And I think that you are hoping that because I'm usually like so love life and everything, that I probably was going to co-sign and just say, okay, well, you know, get on this truck and try it out. But that's not what you're going to get from me. So yeah, there's my advice to you. Hopefully you email me back and let me know what were the questions that he was not telling you, and like, let me know what ultimately happens. I mean, either way, it's your life, but those are just, you asked for my opinion as a sisterly opinion, and I am not by any means the wisest owl on the barn or any of that. But your email just like sent up red flags to me. So those are my thoughts, my concerns. Hope that helps. And I see my trainer keep walking around the truck, so I think he might be ready to go. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye. I'm sorry, you guys. These are like some big ass ants. Oh yeah, these ants are huge. I think they're red ants. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Look at those big ants. Oh. If they are on me, I'm gonna freak out. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm recording all of that. Okay. Well. Oh my gosh. Now I'm like freaking out. I'm scared that these ants are crawling on me. They're huge. Oh my gosh. Okay, I don't feel anything biting me, but jeez. Really, ants? Really? Trying to see if, like, as I brush myself, are they flying off? I'm just like chilling in the grass. No idea that the ants are trying to attack me. Okay,